Over the course of history, over 100 billion of us have died. All the humans that are alive now are a small fraction of what were. What are the chances that we all go extinct? In the next 80 years, there's a 20% chance that we no longer exist. By what means? How does it happen? Come along and join us. So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Good. Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. The taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content, and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah?
Yes, welcome back.
Hell yeah.
Welcome back.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell
Feels
yeah.
good. Feels
All
good.
right, good. It feels good to be alive, I would say.
So we're
Full of vitality and life. Is that what I'm going to say?
avoiding death at every turn. I guess how close do you feel to death now? Like every day. What's going to kill you, Nick, besides cancer? If you
I can't
survive?
wait for whatever it is.
A car accident? I think it's
Could be.
one of the highest ones. It's car accidents.
Yeah, probably. I
Yeah.
drive a lot. And here's the kicker. Most people brag about being a good driver. As someone who drove sort of for a living, drove forklifts, I've driven vans, trucks, I've owned a Mustang, I owned a Jeep Wrangler, like I drive all sorts of different vehicles,
Right.
SUVs, cars, fast cars, up, down, left, right. I drive very well. The perfect driving is always about 15% above the speed limit. You could ramp it to 20. I mean, if you're going like 50 over the speed limit,
Yeah.
take a look in the mirror, pal. That's dangerous. My hand-eye coordination it's greater than most people's. I'm not here to brag. My vision is actually better than 20/20. I do the thing that the chart work and read the bottom, so that's good. I do a thing where it's called break the rules where they don't apply to me. I will turn red on a no turn on red if I can see everywhere at all times. I will, if I see, like people don't realize, if you see a SEPTA bus picking someone up and they didn't pull over all the way and you're afraid to cross the double lines, but no one's around, you go around them. You have to facilitate the ride for everyone else on the road. So if that means you run a yellow turning red light because it's more convenient to the traffic behind you, you do it. You do things to get the flow of traffic back to its max capacity. Oftentimes, people will race ahead as fast as they can and slam on their brakes. This causes an effect where your brake lights are on more and people behind you brake more.
It's a ripple
So
effect.
what you want to do, exactly, what you want to do is actually time it maybe perfectly so that you're coasting. Then the person behind you could coast. It's all about timing and thinking, and usually 8 steps ahead. And when you drive in a car for a really long time, you think about these things at all times. And I hate bad drivers. So you know what's going to happen to me? Bad driver's going to kill me. I already decided.
Yeah, probably get T-boned. Green light. Red light for them.
I hate bad drivers. Ugh, I'm getting the willies. I think it's going to happen. Ugh.
Yeah.
This episode's going to be crazy if that happens.
You can always pick them out, too. They're always kind of like wavering in the lane, a little back and forth, a little stop and go, a little too fast stopping, a little too quick
They're
jumping
going
off the gun.
5 mile an hour under the speed limit
Yeah.
is what they're doing.
A little jittery. They stay in the middle of the lane too long.
Looking at the phone.
Yeah.
Huh? You know how you can tell someone's looking at their phone? The cushion. It's a big cushion. Doing it in traffic? Yeah. Check this.
In front of the
You
car
pay attention.
ahead of you.
Oh yeah. They do this while they're on the phone and they start braking. They end up braking like 16 feet before they get to the next car. Which better than the other way around. I'm not arguing with it.
So car accidents literally cannot make us extinct. I don't believe.
No, they can't. There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell. What else? Like cancer couldn't make us extinct, right? Could it? No.
Well, if we got hit with radiation so that it caused rapid cancer in all of us
Everyone
before
in
we
there?
could reproduce, then
I
everyone
guess
would
so.
have it.
So it would have to affect everyone under 18, kind of.
Yeah, and if it was like a solar wind that just like destroyed the Earth's surface and we have to be troglodytes, we could probably survive, but then we'd probably be something different. We'd probably evolve to be troglodytes and cavemen.
Yeah, but wouldn't we just create technology again?
I don't know if we'd be human at that point.
We're the humans that created technology and didn't have technology. Humans also.
By, I guess
People
what
100,000 years ago, 100,000, not 500,000, they made all the stuff we have now, right?
I don't know that they existed 100,000 years ago. What was the timeline? Do you have the timeline on this one?
Yeah, Homo sapien is 300 to 130,000 years ago.
Yeah, but that's like these
Common man.
basic tools, right?
Look, but I'm saying let's give them time. I'm not saying they have to make it overnight. Good Lord.
So I
Give
guess
them 100,000 years.
as a species, right? That's our 300,000 year mark.
I guess. That's kind of creepy. What's the number? Do you have a number on this?
I don't
Species?
actually.
Average lifespan of a species. I actually have the number for the average species. Now this ranges so much. It's crazy. It's 1 to 10 million years is the average.
Well, that's a lot.
Life. I think it's thrown off by some species that have been around for millions and millions and millions of years, like frogs, turtles, most reptiles, right?
Yeah. Plus,
So you got some of them that have been around for dozens of millions of years. There's probably a lot that survive for 1 million, go extinct. There's probably a lot to survive for like 100,000 years and then croak.
It's one of the
Again, bro.
weirdest things. I don't think I've ever searched for human on Wikipedia before.
Oh, there's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's interesting.
So I took a bunch of anthro courses and I did a lot of reading for this just to break down human for everyone. I believe we were all of the hominid family, and like one of the first hominids to walk upright was Australopithecine. It was like a branch off. It wasn't a homo erectus or a homo whatever.
Denisova.
But they look like us. Well, we'll get to them in a minute. So Australopithecine goes up here and he does his own thing and he walks upright. He actually starts using tools. They think he buried his dead. They lived like 2 to 4 million years ago. And then they died out. So they weren't the best. A little afterwards, like in the 3 to 2 million range, Homo species started like populating the earth like crazy. We had like the Homo erectus, Homo. I didn't write them all down. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
We didn't get to Homo sapiens yet?
No, Homo sapiens actually don't appear till what we said in the beginning, 300,000 years ago. So this like 1 to 2 million years ago, it's like a Homo erectus, Homo. I love saying Homo. There's a bunch, but Neanderthals are a branch off. It might even be Homo Neanderthal. I can't remember.
Homo habilis.
Yeah, habilis. That's the one I habit to inhabit.
Homo erectus. We got Homo
erectus. That's my man.
ergaster.
Sure, I love him. He's
Homo
cool.
rhodesianesius. There's a whole lot of them.
Oh yeah,
we have a variety. Cool. They all look kind of human, but they have like ape-like skulls, so it's kind of scary.
Yeah. So another species at the time, the denisovans. I think they were a branch off of hominid also that wasn't in the Homo genus. It was like just slightly off, like kind of like where the Australopithecine are up here, denisovans down here, and then like Neanderthals and Homo sapiens and Homo erectus all down here. Well, they all happen to live at the same time frame, and we mentioned this in a previous episode, but we didn't get it right. So the denisovans, the Neanderthal, and the Homo sapien was all making love, folks.
So they were all within the same species, right? So they could make varieties of sort of humans, right?
Yeah, and they say that in our DNA there's 1 to 2% Denisovan, depending on where you're from. Certain areas they were local to.
Philadelphia.
Like, Philadelphia only. It's crazy that in other parts of North America they weren't, but Philadelphia they were. Weird. Neanderthals were very present in like Sweden and Norway and all those areas. So if you're from there, you have like 5% Neanderthal DNA, and then Homo sapien. Those guys were they were rocking pretty good, and they did pretty good. They outlived everyone, and that's why we don't have any other hominids still alive,
Do you think we
which
killed
is
them?
weird. I don't know. They're extinct. We're pretty damn sure about that, right?
We probably killed them.
But how do you kill a whole species? Is it like an accident? There's not like there's another one, get it. Like, do you think you just don't let them into your city, or you don't let them reproduce with you anymore? You're like,
Well, you said they buried their dead, right? So they had some sort of ritual. Yeah. So maybe that's like a marriage ritual, is that you decide that you're no longer going to marry into a lesser family of or lesser species. So actually, it's the same species as class, right?
But I guess you look different. So whoever has the money or the technology is the powerful one, right? The power baby. So you're not gonna, you ain't doing it with no Neanderthal, pal.
So maybe it's in our genes to go after something. I feel like the women control that. That the women go after the power. They go after the predominant male. What if there was like a new evolution of people, and like we were no longer first class, we were the second class, and then that's like the new Homo sapien was the hot new thing.
Hot new thing, the new Homo rigorous, Homo pander,
yeah,
like the future, yeah. And the ladies are digging it, then it's the future. Them genes are gonna get passed on. Do they look different? I don't know.
So that would be an extinction of us, right? Eventually we would die out because we were no longer, I don't know,
correct,
more intelligent, viable,
sexy.
Yeah, we weren't the sexiest,
no longer sexy.
Yeah, these are the sexiest animals on the planet. We got to keep them alive by keep pounding that species.
Keep on keeping on. Right. So I mean, we know for a fact that it's possible we could be replaced. I mean, our ancestors would become something else.
So that's one branch of global catastrophic risk, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So that's one of the
talk about. Okay.
The probabilities.
Each other's toes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hey, we keep talking. Let's say, this is crazy. I give up.
I'm not sure where you're going to go, but I can keep going if you want.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
So the one thing I mentioned earlier was that within 80 years, there's a 19% chance. This is the official. I said 20, but 19% chance that we kill ourselves, essentially, or it happens.
Oh, you're talking about the Holocene event?
No, I'm talking about
sixth extinction.
These are Anthropocene events. So like human-caused events which cause the mass extinction of us. So there's molecular nanotechnology, weapons, AI, wars, pandemic, nuclear stuff. Oh man, that's gonna kill us all. And
germs, baby.
Yeah, so we could generate all these technologies to probably. They might be intended for the betterment of man, but
they could go awry.
Yeah, we start using them against each other. It's like nuclear, the nuclear winter. They theorized that if you had all the nuclear weapons on Earth go off all at once, that it would be similar to an event that happened with the Toba eruption. It was a volcanic eruption, like I don't know when it was actually. I think it was 500
BC, I think.
Yeah. So that caused the Earth's temperatures to fluctuate by about 20 to 30 degrees.
Do your research. It's probably like 3 degrees Celsius.
No, it was a lot more than that.
I think it was like 3 degrees Celsius. Google it in front of everyone. I just want you to pump your brakes on your 20-degree change.
I'm specifying that the nuclear war, if it were to occur, it would fluctuate similar in scale, which is
that would be
at 10 times.
Almost,
10 times fluctuation. But yeah, but the 3% that happened, or the 3 degrees that happened in the Toba, it affected the Earth enough that the lack of heat.
3 degrees is a big difference.
Massive.
Because that's 3 degrees over the entire Earth surface. So chances are there are areas it doesn't affect. There's other areas that are up 10 degrees or down 15 degrees. And like certain plants and animals just can't survive in that. I mean.
Yeah, on top of so not having enough heat causes less water in the atmosphere, causes less rain. It eventually makes sure that anyone that's living in an interior doesn't get water and then dies
blocking out the sun.
Yeah,
affects all the plant growth, affects all the photosynthesis. Yeah. That's a big thing. No photosynthesis, no plants, no food. That's going to destroy your food cycle.
Yeah, so that's on the cold side of it, is that you don't get crops and you starve and you essentially probably have to battle each other for food because the
And
food
that's just talking
no
about
longer
humans.
grows.
I mean, picture all the other animals getting.
Yeah, getting eaten. All the
Oh,
deer.
yeah.
I know where I could find a bunch of deer. They're getting dead right now. If it's apocalypse times.
Stupid ass deer. I read a thing. I didn't write any of the facts down because it could have been all bullshit, but it seemed pretty interesting. It was like 10 things that will happen if humans die. And I was like, let me see. If all the humans cease to exist, whether through nuclear winter or something crazy or whatever, it was like within 3 to 5 days, all the animals on farms would die. And I was like, oh.
Oh, this
I
happened
was
with
like, they're penned in.
there's a Hurricane Florence. It hit the Carolinas. They said that like 1.7 million chickens died because they couldn't A, raise them above flood level, or B, get food to them. So they died almost immediately because they were penned in.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that sucks. The other one was that we have all these breeds of dogs we've created. They were like, within a few years, most of the small dogs would just stop existing.
They'd
all the cute ones that we breed.
Yeah.
Only the real big ones that could readapt to the wild would survive. So anything we man-made would be dead. And I was like, that's crazy. Then it was like all the lights that we power could be gone within 3 days, unless they're like running on like internal servers and whatever, and like hardwired into a building.
Solar.
Then they would last a little longer. Another one was metal buildings would eventually crumble. I think within either 10,000 years.
So they'd all rust away, and then you'd have probably
there's maintenance. And the bigger the building, the more likely.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's worried about tetanus when we're all dead.
Yeah.
Do you know which buildings would actually stick around for way, way longer? Stone buildings. The only buildings that would stick around.
Like cement?
No, stone, like castles. Old timey, like cobblestone, eh? My building's still here, eh, governor?
I'm gonna fact check you right now.
Go ahead, check it out. 10 things that would happen if and again, this is only like some BuzzFeed article. It's probably half crap, but it's probably based on at least a little bit of science.
This goes back to the Roman concrete. So the Roman concrete had like a special material that was volcanic to it, but like the modern mortar and concrete is not as strong. So I
didn't know that.
I will tend to believe you that the Romans /
I'm buying into the theory. I didn't say I was writing this as Bible here, fact checker.
I would tend to believe you. I didn't say I do believe you.
And you didn't check your volcanoes, interestingly enough. But anyway, we're moving to, let's say, the 10 things that would happen. There's one other interesting thing. The rest of it was like stupid. It was like our satellites would fall after a year or two, and I was like, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Because they're held in place by centrifugal force, right?
Well, the International Space Station is boosted up, but that is a very large structure, and it's held in low Earth orbit, which has drag on it. So I don't think
eventually, but not like years. Yeah, like thousands of years. We're talking.
Yeah, and if there is satellites that have drag and will follow the Earth, I don't know that it's not an automatic process. I feel like it would be. Like they would not have to okay that it would boost itself back up if it required a little bit of energy. So that seems mythic.
I wonder what would happen. What would happen with our energy systems in place? I mean, we're not running it anymore, so I guess solar power standalone things would be fine, unless they went awry. Something was wrong. I'm just trying to say awry as many times as I can this episode. But
you think our power plants are automated, so they would just keep running?
Oh, that was the other cool thing, which you would find interesting, because nuclear power plants are constantly cooled. I think within a dozen years, they probably all would overheat.
Well, they have there's like rods that you set off, and they essentially ignite slowly. So the rods create heat, which then generates power. So I think there's people that actually go in and exchange the rods, but I don't know how long the time frame is.
Well, I guess and I don't know.
You can have
if a rod's in there, and it's being cooled over a period of, is it weeks, months? I have no idea. It's that hot.
I have no idea, but like Fukushima,
if every human died,
you lose if you don't have water additives, which is possibility.
Yeah,
I guess you would think they'd have safeguards that if humans didn't exist.
I'm sure they do, but that's why I think the article said years. I guess just that stuff sitting around eventually, I don't know.
Something's gonna go bad.
Yeah. And then they could blow. That
Mm,
would be
I
wild. You think it wouldn't?
I think
I don't know.
I think they would have
Again,
enough
this
safeguards.
article, okay.
Modern nuclear plants would probably not blow. I'll say that. But
We'll say that.
Fukushima was an older plant that had other issues. So like, and it coupled with a natural disaster, which I guess if it's extinction time, natural disasters could occur.
I guess so. Interesting. The other cool thing, I did remember the other one from the article. It was like within 10 years, 70%, I don't know where they came up with this number, of all industrial, like our cities and stuff without humans, would have vegetation growing throughout it again anyway.
Oh,
Like plants, grass, whatever, which is cool because in all the post-apocalyptic movies and pictures we see,
I
it's
Am
like the
Legend.
city covered in grass again. And
Yeah.
you're like, what?
it's like all this
That
wheat
wouldn't happen.
in New York City with lions
But
and
it really
zombies.
would. I guess it would. So we're pretty, we went. No one would even notice in like a few hundred years, would they?
I mean, the way things grow around here, it seems like within a year, you pretty much have a barren field and it grows into a tropical forest. That's how quick stuff grows down here with the heat and the humidity and moisture. So I wouldn't be surprised if you just let things grow within 5 years. You probably wouldn't know that any of the houses existed.
I mean, the house would be standing, I guess, but you wouldn't.
You wouldn't
Like,
be able
it
to
would-
see it from the street. What the hell is
Yeah,
this thing?
yeah. I don't know. You tell me.
Something popped up.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Pop up, pop up. So real quick, I want to go backwards so that we don't have to go back in time anymore. I
Yeah.
did want to cover all the early stuff.
Sure. What happened in the
So-
past?
Yeah, what happened in the past? They surmised that there are over 5 billion species that have been alive on Earth. Again, there's a science to this. They break it down by year and how many different species they think. This number can fluctuate by as much as 300%. They can be like, oh, it's really 100 species of all time. Oh, it was really 40 billion. I don't know. But they kind of agree on 5 billion-ish since, life began.
Yeah, so we killed all those, or life did.
Not we.
Life did.
Do you know what percentage of them are now extinct? Forever dead.
99%.
That's wild.
Yeah.
To me, that's the craziest thing in the world, that 99% of all species that have ever lived, ever graced this earth, are dead. Green cup?
Stop shaking your glass, man.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude. You should have said that. I don't know. Well,
I just caught
it's
it
at a
now.
weird spot.
It sounds like you're holding
I hope
it
I
and
ruined the
shaking it rapidly.
Well, I'm not shaking it rapidly, but
But that makes sense. That makes sense, though. I mean, everything that came before us was an evolutionary step, and when that evolutionary step isn't needed, it dies off. Even
all
now.
right. So how about like frogs?
So
How about like
yeah,
a cow?
frogs are an interesting one because they were actually around during the dinosaur period. Somehow they survived as amphibians through that period, and we see them today. But now there's a unique twist on it that there's like a weird fungus that's happening that's killing off all the frogs, and we're splitting up all their natural habitats so they can't
Wow.
live in the tiny pockets we're giving them. And we don't care. I don't think anyone says save the frogs. I've never seen a.
I never heard that. If there's a frog crisis, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's
Weird. I didn't know that.
they're slowly dying off,
It's pretty wild.
and that links to
But that's a fungus too. That's not even. Is that well? And plus human deforestation ruining all the.
Yeah. There's some sort of like a square law. So like if you have a certain area of land that you can sustain a certain number of species, but like when you shrink that by half, like the number of species goes down to like almost nothing. Like you can't support.
So more than half. Okay.
Yeah, much less.
Way less. Well, real quick, for people who don't know, do you know what a mass extinction is, folks?
It's less than 50% of the life forms, or more than 50% of the life forms die.
That's right. My man got it. Over a short geological span. So, a couple 100,000 years, maybe a million or two, and 50% at least of the species alive on the planet.
Holocene
happened-
extinctions.
It's happened 5 times that we can surmise. The 5 great extinctions. The first one was like 440 million years ago. Who cares? Single cell organisms all started dying. No one gives a damn. That's old news. Actually, I had the percentage of species that died. Oh, here we go. 86% of all species on Earth were dead. We don't care. Next, we got the late Devonian. Devonian? Sure, that's what I call it.
Sure.
375 million years ago. No one cares.
That was a long time ago.
That we lost a really important group. Trilobites. Trilobite?
Trilobite?
Trilobite. Maybe so is trilobite.
Trilobite? What's special about them?
I love them. I think they're cool. They're like sweet cave art. They look like a horseshoe crab. It's like an early horseshoe crab. It's really what it is. You see them in caves. Like you see them. Maybe you see them in the cave fossils everywhere.
They are sweet
like
looking.
That. They're cool. They're like they're a symbol for old timey. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's when we lost them. I think 75% of all species on Earth
gone.
Check them out, though, folks. Check them. Next, we have the end of the Permian era, 251 million years ago. Like, not quite yesterday, but we're getting there. They called this one the Great Dying. 96% of every species on the planet died. That's a lot. It'd be friggin' wild.
So one of these...
You mentioned 96... Yeah, go ahead.
So one of these periods, I don't know which one, there's an expansion from the sea to the earth. I think it was
the second one. The second one, I think.
So there's something that really fascinating here. There's what do they call it? Eutrophication, which is like the it's when the water becomes so filled with nutrients that there's like a burst of life, but it blocks out all the sun that goes into the water.
Really?
So everything below that becomes deprived, and it eventually dies. I think it's oxygen deprived. And then
wow, yeah, there was an oxygen deprivation.
So at like an evolutionary phase where things start to go on land, and then there's trees, and then there's a burst of life. It causes this oscillation, and the oscillation then causes this eutrophication, and then it makes its way into the oceans, and then the plankton, I think, they go crazy. So they make like that film. They die, and then when they die, they suck up more oxygen, so it changes the balance of oxygen. It's almost like a limnic explosion, like a Lake Nyos, which we talked about before.
Oh yeah. Well, it turned all the water acidic to life. Mm-hmm. Not actually acidic, but acidic to life.
Yeah. So all of the oceans in this sort of phase would just be inhospitable. Like nothing would survive, and all of the major organisms would die. So you
were in the ocean at the time, right? When you think about it, 90% of life was in the ocean.
So that's one of the theories for mass extinction of the ocean life, is that this happened.
Makes sense.
You know,
what's wild is that the balance of life on the planet could be upset by things that didn't have like oil rigs and like super SUVs and like things that could like
no technology whatsoever.
Yeah, like they didn't have technology. They were just being alive so much that they ruined life for like other organisms.
How stupid is it that we rely on oxygen every minute of every day, and what supplies the most oxygen is the phytoplankton?
Trees. Oh, really?
Phytoplankton
I thought
in
trees
the ocean.
supplied more.
No.
Yeah.
Phytoplankton is like, I'm going to get an actual percentage, but I think it's like 80%.
That's wild. I had no idea. I was a dumb idiot who thought trees provided like, I would have said 80% of our oxygen, and the rest from like algae and weird stuff.
70% of our Earth's oxygen is from
phytoplankton.
Crazy.
And what are we doing to them? Not helping them.
Yeah, we're not helping them. I think they're going down by like 1% globally per year. So like this is like global warming thing.
90 years or so or whatever.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll survive until we die. Personally, not as a species. But I don't know why these topics aren't discussed in science class.
Yeah,
I don't know why everyone doesn't know that if these things die, like we're dead. There's nothing. You would have to manufacture oxygen. How ridiculous would that be? That you had a plant that would be like, let me sell you oxygen.
A real quick aside.
Sure.
You just said why we're not talking about that and other things in science class. There are science classes in this very country that don't acknowledge anything we talked about today and don't acknowledge evolution. That's wild to me. Like, how can you be a science and not adhere to
Are you
science? In fact,
providing any facts to these children? Like,
at all. I mean,
yeah.
did we discuss on this podcast, the previous Extinction one, with another group, or did we discuss it in another episode where the reason there are dinosaur bones is God put them there so that when we dug them up and came up with crazy theories, only the true believers would know it
Yeah.
was
It's a test of
nothing
our
to worry
faith.
about.
Do you
It's a
believe this
test of
actually
faith.
happened?
Holy shit!
Don't worry. If you pass the test of faith, you go to the heaven, which may or may not exist. We have no factual knowledge of.
This is a whole nother episode. I know.
Yeah.
Let's get out of the past. We have the fourth extinction, which was the end of the Triassic era. 80% of life died. This is like 200 mil year ago, which I find is wild because the last one was 251. Now we're at 200.
Oh.
So like 50 million years go by, and we just had this thing where 96% of the life on the planet died. Oh, 80% just went, sorry, that's a rough 50 million years. That's what we call that in the biz.
So you're touching on some cycles that some other guy found, actually. So there's a
Really?
Milankovitch
I'm a
cycle.
scientist. Are you saying I'm a scientist?
Are you a scientist? You personally?
I could be.
Or are you just
I was a
reiterating
bio
what
major.
scientists had found
I
previously?
was an English major. Okay.
You're a good reader of scientists.
Well, hold on. Was he a scientist, or was he reading what other scientists?
I don't know. Was Ben Franklin really an inventor, or did he steal all his stuff? Who knows? No one really knows.
He was from Philadelphia, okay?
Yeah.
He made the cheesesteak. Let's go.
So Milankovitch actually came up with these theories about, like, so the Earth is wobbling, like left and right, has a different axis. It's also oscillating around the sun.
Precession. Holy crap, precession.
Yeah.
This comes up often in this show. Look it up, folks. If you get a top at home, whatever you got, you spin it, and it's going to spin while it's spinning. That's called precession, okay? Get a book. Check it out, folks.
Yeah, it's so like the tilt of the Earth affects how much insulation it gets. Is like how much the sun hits it. If it hits it in the middle, it warms up the Earth more. If the sun hits it on the kind of the poles, it doesn't absorb as much heat, and then it kind of cools down.
The angle of the dangle.
And then also, like, the orbit around the sun is not circular, so there's like a flex to it. It's
elliptical. Is that what you're saying?
Elliptical.
It's a little elliptical. Holy Christ.
Yep. So there's factoring in all the, like, the wobble, the tilt, the way it orbits, like the other planets, how they're affecting the gravity.
They do.
It all factors into this giant cycle. And the guy plotted the cycle out and said that every X number of years, which is 125,000 years, there's a cycle that happens. Ooh. And at every one of these cycles, there's some sort of extinction that happens.
Like a mass one? Massish?
Loosely combined every 100,000 years.
Massish. Right. I said massish. It doesn't have to be a mass extinction. Not one of the five, obviously. We haven't even gotten to the fifth.
Again, this is a theory because we can't really prove what has happened. We can see that there's extinctions at certain periods, but we don't exactly know why. Like the dinosaurs, we don't know why they actually died. Was it?
Can I go to the fifth mass extinction?
Yeah, hit it.
The end of the Cretaceous period. Right around the corner, folks. 66 million years ago. 76% of life on the Earth went. With that was all the dinosaurs, folks. Hot diggity dog.
What are those theories?
Asteroid is number one. We've all actually kind of admitted it. We did a previous episode where we talked about dinosaur bitch.
Yeah, we talked about dust.
She did not think it was.
Insulation. Well, the other theory is volcanic, right? She thought it was volcanic.
Yeah, volcanic chain. The Deccan Vulcan hypothesis. Volcanoes in the Indonesian area that lasted eruptions lasting 300,000 years. My question is, how do you miss that? That's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time.
But I guess maybe the way rock cools, there's no way to know how powerful the eruptions were if they weren't super powerful. Like they were just under the radar of being like stratifying the Earth, but like just powerful enough to put stuff in the air and change the gases and blot out the sun just a little bit. Little bit changes a lot. I don't know.
So there's a, like, in the way we think, it's in the now, right? We're not thinking
Always
faster than now.
Hold up. Did you know T-Rex was alive closer to humans than he was Stegosaurus?
Stegosaurus wasn't at the same time?
Nope. Different time period. So check this out. There's a 68 million year break between T-Rex and Stegosaurus.
That's so sad.
There's a 66.5 million year difference between Homo sapiens and T-Rex. T-Rex is closer to seeing a human than he was a Stegosaurus, folks. Little misnomer, because I used to get. Did you get the Dinosaur magazine?
I think I did. I think I know.
With the 3D glasses?
I didn't have the 3D
had 3D glasses. Oh, dude, I wish now I want to look it up so bad. I got it every month. Dinosaurs were my favorite. But on the cover, it was like a T-Rex eating a Stegosaurus. Yeah, type up Dinosaur magazine 1990s. 3D glasses. 3D glasses were a big selling point for this. It was like technology.
Dinosaur. I remember this. I had this.
Did you? Cool.
It's called Dinosaurs.
I love
with an exclamation point. Discover the giants of the prehistoric world.
There's like pictures of T-Rex biting a Stegosaurus. Like now I'm looking back. I'm getting pretty mad.
That's exactly what I was thinking when you were saying it. I was like, I remember this. This was factual in a magazine that was
it was
definitely not factual.
Yeah, it wasn't. But I mean, they did. That was a cool book. I'm down with it. So.
Huh.
Right? Check that shit. Blows your mind, doesn't it? I'm here to blow minds.
It's bizarre.
Not all I'm here to blow, folks. I'm here to blow through the bankroll. I use the Unpanderer's bankroll to buy whatever I want. Do you know what I bought last week? Stick of gum. Account bounced. We have to pay for the gum.
I have a side story here. I tried to get a credit card, and I used the business name as the Unpanderers, and they wanted proof. This is for bonuses. And I was like, well, you can submit a form to prove that you own the Unpanderers. It opens you up to legal issues if you ever get sued. So I said, I don't want to do this. I won't take the credit card bonuses. The Unpanderers does not have a credit line. I'm sorry.
Damn it. Well, that's why we couldn't get that gum.
Yeah, but I wanted to tell the person, just go to unpanderers.com, just watch an episode. That's me, Dan, right in the corner right there. You can see it. That's me. This counts as proof. This counts as proof. You have to give me the credit card.
It does. It does. So we talked enough about the past. People think we're in the 6th extinction phase. Did you come across that a million times?
They keep talking about
annoying.
Biodiversity. Is that the biodiversity of the planet is going down? Like we're killing frogs, rhinoceros, like various things are dying, and we don't seem to care. There's so many birds. Like who cares? Like ever look at like all the species of birds? It's like, oh, I can't describe what bird this is. It looks so much like the other thousands of birds there are.
Birds are wild, dude.
Who keeps track of this crap? Scientists.
Want to hear something crazy? The passenger pigeon. Do you know what that is?
I thought it was like everywhere. It no longer exists.
So they're actually extinct.
They died?
They were the ones in America, right? In the 1800s, settlers. We would stick notes in their feet and have them carry notes for everyone.
So every movie that I've ever watched that uses a passenger pigeon it's not factual.
Like not a carrier pigeon is all of them. Passenger pigeon was a specific breed.
Oh, okay.
So there are still some left, but passenger pigeon, they're dead. And I was like, that's crazy. Do you know when they died? All of them? The day Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone. I don't know if that's true. When was the phone invented? They said between the 17 and 1800s. That'd be wild, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No longer need it. So like people are just like, I'll just set this pigeon down. No longer need them.
Yeah. F that pigeon. People are shooting them in the street. That's a damn passenger pigeon.
That's like buffaloes, though. It's like I heard the story that they hunted buffalo not for the meat or the skin,
for the damn horns and crap. Just for the pelt.
No, because the Native Americans needed them for food. They killed them off so they would kill off the Native Americans. Like, you guys are assholes. Really? All of you in the past are assholes. Like, there's a lot of people killing buffaloes.
Ooh, I had white gill. And then I remembered my family came over
Yeah.
2 generations
We
ago,
weren't
folks.
we weren't
2
here.
generations.
Yeah, same
Nope.
here.
2
Not our
generations.
fault.
Not my
Not our
parents.
fault.
Not my grandparents. Their parents. I guess that's 3. What year would that be? I'm sweating it out. I think it's like the late 1800s. Okay. I think we came over here late 1800s. I did not kill any buffalo.
So there was a premise here for in the past. I mentioned if human pairs mating pairs could only produce one child.
Hmm.
So if every 2 people could only produce one, how long would it take until we actually went extinct? And I calculated this. 5 weeks is not correct. It's actually about 500 years. It's not that many generations.
That's way quicker than I would think. Are you sure?
No, but
you could have said yes. I was ready to believe you. I was ready to believe.
It's actually not that many generations. I want to do the math again. I had the spreadsheet open, but I lost it. But yeah, you half it. You have 7 billion to 3.5. So it only takes, how many generations? Not that many generations. I think it was like 20 generations. So maybe 20 times. Another thing is your generation is only like 20 years, really. So by the time, yeah. So like 20 times 20, 400-ish. Yeah, I think the math was right.
Why do you think it is 20? Is it because 20 to 40 is prime baby making time? You can obviously have them before and obviously after, but 20 to 40 is prime time, right?
So we had an episode on this where the man can be like 90 years old and still have a baby, but a woman cannot. So it's limited on the women, and the women are viable from a very young age, which we're not going to touch.
If you're listening to the audio only, on Pander, Dan is the one that sounds sexist in this. I wanted to make sure everyone knew whose voice was whose.
Well, in the olden days, they used to marry off women when they were like 13 and be like, yeah, we're going to die at like 20, so it's okay.
Yeah, but they're not having babies till like 15, 16, right? I don't know.
Because it takes a year.
And it does 9 months.
9 months, yeah. I rounded up because I'm not a woman. But yeah, so somewhere in the middle is about like 20 to 30 years. So anywhere in the middle of like 500 years, you're probably going to be really in a crisis if you were to only have one child out of a pair of people.
It is wild. I never actually thought of that. Damn. This made me think of all the shows, all the everything.
Yeah? Like what?
And another. No, like the Children of Men. Is that what that was called?
Yeah, where they
could
no longer have babies for some reason.
But what if... So you said if 2 people had one every time and no one ever broke that rule, or for whatever reason, maybe it was genetic or something happened where that was the only thing that could possibly happen. There is the group that we touched on in that other episode, the Voluntary Human Extinction Movement, VHEMT, started in 1991 by a guy, I forgot his name again.
Les Knight.
Yeah, that's the man.
Yep.
Yeah, my man Knight. His expression is, may we live long and die out. And they all join this group, think human impact on the planet is too much. It's going to affect too many people, too many things. And they have all kind of had their creed that they will not have children. They're going to let humans die out.
Let their own religion extinguish, essentially.
Yeah. When you think about it, right?
Yeah.
We're wild.
Could we all decide that all at once? I don't think
There'd be too many people who wouldn't. That's the...
So, like, one of the greatest drivers is sex, right? I mean, I think it overpowers every man at some point in his life that he does something he doesn't want to admit with a girl he never thought he would. And I think that's inevitable. It's like it's programmed into our own DNA that we go after sexual intercourse.
Well, I think we touched on this a brief. Why do animals bang? It's not just a feel-good thing. It's like a natural thing, right? They just do. Like, there's almost no choice. It's not like they could be like, not interested. Whoa, plumage? Did you see those feathers? Oh, smokes. Oh my God, she's blowing up that thing around her neck. Oh my God, I gotta have it. I gotta have it. I gotta have it.
Sexual ornamentation.
That came up in a previous episode as well. I know it did. I know you wanted to use it again.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Who doesn't, folks? Who doesn't?
Yeah, fantastic.
Moving around here, we could talk about some scenarios. Like what's a likely way that the Earth or humans become extinct?
De-evolution. You think about that one? So like this comes
I
up.
yeah.
This comes up in
I
like.
was thinking of Mario Brothers, the movie from 1993, starring Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo.
Yeah, it's awful.
Do you remember that
I,
Mario?
I
Oh,
do. I do.
so good, so good. And what's his name? Who's Koopa? He's oh my god, it's gonna bug the hell out of me. Ah, please look him up. But anyway, great movie. I would recommend it to anyone. Everybody open the door, get on the floor. Everybody do the dinosaur. Dun, 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 dun. Like that's no? Okay, it's not right. Anyway.
I'm just laughing silently.
Damn you plumbers! Going through the sand thing. What's your name? Mario. What's your last name? Mario. Mario?
Dennis Hopper.
Yes, thank you. Dennis Hopper. Holy crap. I can't believe I forgot that. God. That's awesome. And what's your name? Luigi. What's your last name? Luigi? No, Mario. See you, Mario? And you're Luigi Mario? Yeah. Book them. Defungus, these two.
Oh, yeah. Shit. I remember this now.
Fungus is everywhere. It looks like snot. Oh, so good. Anyway, wow. Why did I get into this?
De-evolution. I don't know how you jump from that to...
So hold up. Yeah, okay. So they have a machine that would evolve these creatures, the Goombas and all that, and they could devolve a human. It was called de-evolution. And the machine would come down, shake their head, and then they had all the CGI effects that the whole movie paid for. That's where all the whole budget went.
Of course, obviously.
De-evolve these creatures into a stupider, dumber, stronger Goomba. But is that what you're getting at?
I was getting at, so I guess one of the primary things is that like cesarean section makes it so that you can pull out a baby and make sure that everyone survives. That's the goal of the cesarean section. But at the same time, it's promoting the people that are not wide enough. Also
comes, it comes into fruition also. People have mental problems, health problems. We can fix them. We can keep them alive. Mental health problems. There's a whole bunch of problems you can actually survive with. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't ever say to kill them. I wouldn't be like, he's not that good at math.
Yeah.
I would never say that.
He doesn't articulate. He pronounces the diphthong and it's
diphthong's going around here, folks.
Yep.
You're right. There's also a whole idea I came up with that I'm sure everyone at home came up with at one point. But what if like nerdy skinny dudes who make a lot of money and aren't really physically fit are like kind of our kings? Not our kings, but they're like the money makers. And the women start populating with them more because they got the money. Can you imagine if skinny, scrawny, pale, like computer nerdy guys are like the new in, and then like years and years of
the only reason that we're growing larger and bigger and stronger is because we have a fertile area to live in. If that no longer exists, then the people that are larger by nature will need more food and struggle more.
Oh, so you're talking about heavy set wise? Weight wise?
Well, if you're taller, I think if you're taller, you burn more calories.
But also weight, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess if you're predisposed to have more weight, then you're gonna have a harder time finding more food to.
Imagine you're right. People of now are evolving to be heavier, also taller. I want to say smarter, right? That's good. Right?
Yep. I guess that's good if they could solve their problems before the end.
Smarter now than they can 600 years ago, right?
I guess there's another question is if you kick off a technological change, but the technological change is burning through all your resources, your energy reserves, there's a point where you need to hurry up and finish the technology change and get to the end before you run out of all your resources. So that's another extinction, is that you run out of oil, it devolves into people who don't know how to have any sort of electricity, any sort of power to run their cars. they have a whole society built on technology that just disappears.
So what you're talking about is like our technology gets great. It's getting better and better. Our oil and everything else powers our power plants, which power our cities, go right to your grid, right into your outlet. You're plugging in a smartphone that can answer any question that someone 400 years ago wouldn't have a clue about. You have all of the information at your fingertips. You have all this great technology, futuristic stuff. But, but, if you ran out of fuel, all of that is kind of for nothing. It's for naught.
Yeah, at that point you're essentially a cyborg, right? Because you have the phone in front of you. If you no longer have that phone and you're relying on it, you've just evolved. You can no longer support yourself.
I guess that's a good point. I mean, you can't keep doing any of the things you can. You can't use any of the technologies you've grown to love and use every day that make you better than the primitive man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, talking about end times. The study of end times is called eschatology.
Whoa! I did not come across that word. That's a pretty good word of the day. That's a word of the day, folks.
I love
Everyone
that.
look up eschatology.
Eschatology.
I like it.
It's the ultimate destiny of humanity is what it deals with. A lot of it touches on the theology too. So if like you're going through like a rapture or the end times, like what's the belief?
Mm-hmm.
What belief system do you follow when you're on the precipice of ending? When you see everyone else die in front of you?
A new religion would form. 100%. I don't even doubt that. I mean, new Christianity was new religion. Judaism was new religion. Like these all had beginnings. It was probably during extreme changes in the human condition. I mean, this is another one. Let's bring up a new one. I don't know what it's going to be called. Panderism?
We'd have to have the power to protect people, I think.
I don't know. I think we just lie to them. Isn't that what gets the most believers?
I guess. Maybe. We all will save every one of you.
For a small price.
Yes.
A line of credit for gum.
Please approve our credit card. That's another thing. Is I never came across this term. No one ever discussed it. It covers every religion. It talks about how everyone believes in different end times. That magically, if it's the second coming of Christ is one of them, that you're going to be beamed onto a spaceship and you'll survive in heaven or something. I don't know how it goes, but that sounds about right to me. Sound right to you?
Yeah, I'm on board. Sure.
Where do we go from here? That's such a downer.
When is a species extinct?
If you can do like Jurassic Park and bring them back to life, is that extinction?
That's a good question. If in 400 years from now we can bring back a T-Rex, are T-Rex extinct right now? You maybe still say yes because it's not 400 years from now. Okay, 400 years from now, when we do bring one back to life with DNA, cloning, who knows what our technology, at that point, do you say T-Rex are unextinct?
Could we take our own DNA to another planet and make it so that we use that planet to procreate? Like if you could make a machine that could then replicate human beings, you could send that everywhere and find a planet that could survive, could make it habitable for human beings, and then start again. Right? You see where I'm going?
Here's my question. No, I do. But is the clone exactly like me? Except are they made at birth? Like it's a birthed clone, right? They start as an embryo, or how does this?
I don't know.
How does the clone start? Age 10?
What kind of it has? The mental process is going to be completely different because it won't have any input. Well, I guess you could set it up so the computer tells it all that stuff.
I guess, but computer's got limitations because of time. I will say. I mean, you can't experience 20 years of life, make a 20-year-old clone, and then it's me at 20, right? And why did we pick 20? Couldn't we pick 16? I don't know. Let it grow for 4 years till it's 20.
Give it some time.
So we talked in the other episode about bringing back a species that was extinct. They did it with the ibex. We covered this. They made 285 embryos. That's a good
Healthy number,
job,
yeah.
folks. A
We
lot.
stuck it in there. I remember that one.
54 of them took to the womb and actually grew.
Hmm.
12 of the goats went all the way to gestation,
Nice.
but only two actually were born alive. That's out of 285. Now we're down to two. Two ibexes were born alive. Um, the longest they survived was 2 months. I think one was 1 month or 1 week. The other one was 2 months.
So we don't really have quite the technology yet to figure out how to do that.
Or did that creature not belong here anymore? It's kind of weird. Like
His lungs were not evolved to absorb the oxygen in our atmosphere.
but that's weird too, because what makes our lungs able to absorb the oxygen right now?
It's like,
Is that going to change
is
in
the
10 years? I have
environment
no idea.
different? Maybe there's something in there that couldn't handle.
But then, do we encode that in our DNA when we reproduce? Like, I'm not giving my kid like the lead in the water or the oxygen content that I am. Am I? I have no idea. That seems a bit wild to me.
I don't know. That's supposition.
Okay, I have no idea either. Weird. That's supposition, folks. You heard it here first.
So
So let's talk about
if it were to happen,
future extinction. Oh, go ahead.
well, if it were to happen now, and like the
Mhm.
whole world was in some sort of cataclysm, and you didn't really know it, do you think? I think a majority of people wouldn't believe it until they were hungry. So like you probably have all your neighbors
Ooh.
slowly go hungry and decide to attack each other.
Wow.
That's what I would see. And it's the people that could defend themselves who had food would probably survive. And then you'd have these little.
Here's the problem. You definitely have. You can go to your gas station for 24 hours. I'd imagine.
If it's still open, yeah.
No, no, for 24 hours, it probably would
Oh
stay
yeah,
open.
probably would
Here's the
still have
thing.
food and stuff, yeah.
I think it's. Yeah, I think you can go to all these places for roughly 24 hours. You can go to the gas station. You're filling up your car. You're visiting your in-laws. You're visiting your relatives. Your actual laws. What are they called? Family. You're visiting the grocery store. I mean, the food's still there, so nothing seems amiss. Even though you heard about the catastrophe, I think once a day goes by, the food trucks haven't resupplied your grocery store. The gasoline shop isn't getting any more gasoline. People aren't transporting anything. The transporters are very important.
Hmm.
They get stuff to all the stores that are in your local habitat. Once that stops,
This is what
I don't
happened
even
to Hurricane Harvey. It
doubt
took 3 or 4
it.
days before things started up again. And then when they did open, it required that the police be there so that no one was stealing and running away with the food. But if the police are hungry as well, what happens? There's going to be
I
lawlessness
don't know. I mean, how much can you pay a person to stand guard versus hunger? It's
when
a good
money
point.
probably doesn't even matter at that point. It's whoever has
money
food
money wouldn't mean shit if you don't live 4 days without food and your kids starving and everything else
or water. So like
and water. Yeah,
yeah, so that was one of the
water.
things that people would water. People would buy
Water.
water and then resell it for like 10 times as much just because they're jerks because they're stockpiling water.
Hold up. Let's say I don't want to buy water, which I thought you said water,
Yeah, I
but
want to buy water.
let's say you don't want to buy water. Wait, what about your tap? Does it still work?
It still works, but you don't know if it's contaminated because in a flooding scenario,
Workers.
the plants shut down, the water might get into your tap water, and so this is the problem with today's society is that we're relying on things that are decontaminated, things that are protected, but when we have like sewage free floating, and this is happening in Carolinas too, is that the sewage gets in your drinking supply, you can't drink the water, and you really, what can you rely on when you've built yourself into a tiny suburban home that doesn't have a method of
its
producing
own
food.
conveyance.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you can't make your own food, you can't make your own water, you can't make your own everything. You're reliant on everything else.
Yeah.
It's built into the price of the house. Like you buy into this house, you buy into the community, everything's supposed to be supplied for you. But once shit hits the fan, now you've bought into a house that's not good. an
Yeah.
area that's not good, a lifestyle that's probably going to be bad.
Yeah, I mean, all of the
Bad.
I wouldn't call it like segregation, but it's the fine tuning of everyone's profession into defined sects. So like you can't sect. Make sure I said that right. So like where your
A
chicken comes
divine
from, where your
sex.
beef comes from, where your food, your water, it all comes from a unique
Yeah.
profession that is not located near you. You could never travel to
Right.
get it, and then once you
Huh.
don't have it anymore, you can't do it yourself. I don't know how to
Nope.
make my own water. I don't know. I could gather raindrops and stuff, but that's not gonna.
That's right.
Like, what are you
That's
gonna
right.
do?
Yeah, you're right. It's bizarre. Ooh, we've been on for too long. We're gonna have to cut this episode off. Just kidding. Just kidding, folks. Everyone was all nervous. They were like, I was just getting good in here."
Hmm.
So let's say something weird happened. I did a little research on this one as well.
Future.
All bacteria on the planet die.
You're talking about all like gut flora, everything that symbiotic.
Bacteria in general, for whatever reason, they're
They like.
changes the atmosphere. They
It's
die.
kind of like the breaking down of like stuff that we consider waste products, right? So like all the
Yeah.
bacteria dies. It doesn't like trees fall in the woods. They just
Did you
stay as
know
trees.
they also are needed for photosynthesis? I didn't.
Our bacteria are needed for photosynthesis.
Yeah, they
Photosynthesis.
must move the waste product out of the way, I think, and help cull new products in there. So if
Really?
they did all photosynthesis, not all of it, but probably
How big
90% of it would
percentage?
stop. Oh boy. And if
So
that stops,
it's a weird kind of cycle that we have is that we're relying on photosynthesis,
we're
then
all
bacteria,
relying.
ocean, all sorts of churning cycles that
Mhm.
we don't even pay attention to. We're just
We
taking all this for
rely on
granted.
all these other things. I mean, it is wild. And the best part about it is not only do we rely on all these other creatures, symbiotic relationships, food chains, other animals, other trees, other plants, we rely on all this stuff. The best part about it is that we shit on them super bad. Not physically, sorry, like metaphorically. We're destroying
We're
their
yeah.
habitats.
It's like
We're just like,
feeding cattle antibiotics. It's like I know we want to get meat out of this thing, but if it dies from natural causes, we should probably let it die. It's like you don't want to create a superbug that's going to wipe out the human race because you wanted to eat this thing's meat. Like just
mm-mm.
you're not allowing it to evolve. It's you're devolving that thing by providing something that is abnormal. That's not logical. I mean, it's logical, but it's
I
not safe.
agree. It's right. It doesn't. It's logical in a short term view. It's not logical in a long term view.
Yep.
Short term views often have money behind them, and that's why they pan out. In capitalism. I mean, it's if I can make money in the short term, I'm not worried about 600 years from now. Why would I be?
You're worried about tomorrow, this month.
Yeah. Plus, you might not be alive in 600 years. We just talked about how stuff goes extinct, people die, like stuff happens. So I get the idea behind it. I just think it's a terrible,
Mm-hmm.
terrible idea. Um, so real quick, I wanted to touch on there are villains that appear throughout our readings, our histories, our video games, our movies, our stories. Most villains want to rule the world. They want all the power. They want the money. There are a few that are omnicidal. They want all life ruined. They want all life dead. They want everything and everyone.
Hmm.
And they're kind of the most interesting ones. Um, the Reapers from Mass Effect.
They wanted to kill all
This often
life.
they did. They think life is a virus in the universe. Wherever it pops
I
up,
remember that. Yep.
their job is to find life, eradicate it, and then the universe can live in peace. Those villains are the scariest and the craziest. But it made me think a little bit about what life is in general. I know this is like for another episode a little bit, but life begats. We don't know how it began 100%, but it comes to be. It can replicate itself. It evolves. It changes. Some of it dies, goes extinct. Some of it doesn't, but it keeps living on. Yeah, if we found out there was life in the universe, would that be like our brothers? Like, hey, what's up, life on the universe? Even if they were, what if they were carbon based? What if they were just like us? They lived in the habitable zone. There's another planet just like Earth. They use oxygen, ATP. They're similar. I mean, they look like freaks and they're ugly. They're terribly ugly. But like,
I would not mate with that.
Are they our brothers? Like they're friends? I don't know.
So this kind of maybe like the movie Annihilation, which I talked about a little bit before. You had some sort of like entity that came to Earth and is kind of quarantining an area and absorbing the DNA, trying to figure out what it wants to replicate. It doesn't seem like it's harmful, but it also doesn't tell you what it's trying to do. It's just trying to mimic you. If something came into your home and it looked exactly like you and it was trying to match what you were doing, you would kill it almost instantly. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm not with you today. Yeah. Something's like, if I go over to the kitchen counter and I'm doing this, and then there's like something that looks exactly like me, reaching towards what it looks exactly like me, reaching towards a spice cabinet, and it's looking at me, and I look at like a jar of spice, but it's just holding its hand like this and doing this, it's dead within an hour.
Yeah. You slowly grab the knife. It's trying to reach for a knife too. You're just like, nope.
Yeah. No knife there, bitch.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't.
Scary stuff.
So, there's a way to go either way, though. Let's say life on Earth is doomed. We find out there's life on planet Xenomorph. You know what I mean? Like, good for them. They're very similar to us. They're humanoid.
How soon do we kill it?
Well, let's say we don't, because they're too far away. It would take too much energy to go over there and bomb them.
The nuke would take a long time to get there. We would launch it as soon as possible, but it's going to take a while.
We're not going to get any money from it. It sucks. But if our life was ending on Earth, there's no way to get to planet Xenomorph. There's no way to anything. It's just we're all doomed. It's encoded in our DNA. Do we root for Xenomorph or like, hey, well, at least they're life like us?
Root for AI at that point, I think. We root for the machines because they hold our knowledge somehow.
I guess. Let's say even that's going to blow up. Let's say our sun's going to blow up in 5 minutes. Nobody can get off the planet. Do you just like send some messages to Xenomorph? Like, yo, guys, we're done.
It was good. It was fun.
Yeah, good luck, guys. And you can send whatever message you want. I fucked my cousin's dog. You know, whatever. Like something you want to get off your chest.
Send that message.
I never did. But like you got 5 minutes to live. Sun's gonna destroy the entire Earth, all our records, all our everything. But we can send out a transmission to Xenomorph. Those people are just kind of like us. Let's do it. Let's just send them something.
What do? Do you just go hug your family? Because I feel like that's the only thing I would do. Like if you knew you had 5 minutes. If you could see the sun just like all of a sudden like quadrupled its size and it made no sense at all. See it. Yeah, I mean, you would probably be dead.
By the time you see it, you're dead. Right. So let's say you have 5 minutes. Whatever for whatever reason, we launch nukes into the sun and see what it did, and it was not good.
You try to have sex at that time period?
I would try, depending on who's around, but like ultimately, it's going to be like
we have
too many people.
2 minutes of this 5 minutes dedicated. We're running out of time. We just got to get it done.
Bang, finish. But I mean, you also send.
You bang first, or you bang last?
First, are you kidding me? I want to finish. I want to get the good feeling. I'm good, baby. You're good. We only got 3 minutes. I gotta clean up. Let's go. I gotta send a message to the Xenomorphs.
I gotta go hug my children.
I would send them. I feel like I would send them like a paragraph or a message or something that's
Morse code.
Ultimately, me or human or no. Like you send them a video. I mean, it's
just tweet
transmission. Hey guys.
Hey.
Whatever you do. Just I don't know. I would send them something, but
you looking
that's
cute over there, Xenomorphs. Hey.
Forget it was going somewhere.
I think you're going to the end of the world, end of the planet, end of the universe, solar system.
So the planet will end at some point. I mean, we already have the Folks, check it out. Go to the what's it called? Shoot,
I don't know what you're talking about.
timeline of the far future.
Future birth. Timeline of far future 2.
Yeah, just type in timeline of the far future, and you come up with a Wikipedia page. It's really cool because it's like a geological, cosmological, psychological. It's like an estimation of all the sciences factored into a machine, or not a machine, just a timeline that says like 10,000 years from now, the red supergiant Antares will actually result in a supernova.
So there's like two things there. So the Earth right now is like what, 4.5 billion? I think it's like 4.2 something.
Yeah, 4.2. Yeah, it's 4.2.
So the 4.2 billion years old.
Right.
I think it's like 4.23. And then in the next like 4 billion years, they say that like, well, our sun is going to expand and absorb probably the planets and make it too hot, and all of our atmospheres just get blown away and all that stuff. So that's part of the far future.
100%.
Is that we will have no chance of surviving if we stay right here on the planet. But we don't care because that's too far away. But it goes even farther than that. It starts talking about like, supernovas elsewhere, which can hit us and still affect us, like the quasars. Like, the quasars can be like directional.
Gamma rays. I know gamma rays will
focus the energy right at our planet, and our planet could get blown away that way too. Luckily, that hasn't happened
There's
yet.
a 1 in a billion chance. I mean, you're hitting an angle from a star a billion miles away. I mean, your laser better be pointed right at it. It's small chance, but if it did, screwed.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So what were the other key points of the far future here?
Oh, sorry. I was just giving them the first few, like to give them an idea of the thing. So, like 50,000 years from now, Niagara Falls will actually have eroded, so that it's not a fall anymore.
Ooh, so you hit on. I was talking about our the way we think about life now as the time frame is like the now. There's a unit called the Bubov unit, which is actually a measure of erosion over 1 million years. It's equivalent to 1 meter over 1 million years. So like the way of thinking of a planet changing and evolving and eroding is the Bubov unit.
Interesting. I never heard that.
Crazy is that? I just like that.
But like there's no... That is interesting. Within 100,000 years, the constellations that we see above us and everything will be unrecognizable.
Because they'll be shifted.
Yeah, correct. We shift. Certain ones that are closer might shift. Precession of the planet. You might want to look this up, folks. Check a book. Will actually make it look like they're different.
Yeah, and the rotation. And the Milky Way is rotating it also. So, like, we are looking at different stars in a different orientation.
Stars are moving in different positions. Earth is moving in different positions. Everybody's moving in different positions. By 100,000, sky won't look anything like this.
Yep.
This is wild. 250,000 years from now, there will be a new Hawaiian island. Hell yeah.
Volcanic.
Finally a vacation that's cheap enough. Oh, folks.
Yep, you're dead.
Within 500,000 years from now, they surmise that a 1 kilometer asteroid event is due to happen. Could happen tomorrow. Could happen 500 years. Could happen a million. Who knows? No one freaking knows. They're estimating.
Let's go to the existential crises ones. The ones that are just like, oh, damn it. Oh, well.
All right. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit. Within 800 million years, which sounds far away, but this timeline drags out over all time. You got to check it out. I'm telling you, Google it. Just look at it and be like, holy Jesus.
Yeah, it goes to like...
septillion
years or something.
Yeah. C4 photosynthesis will be over. Multicellular life will begin to die. There will be no ozone and no UV light for whatever reason.
Why is...
Guess what? I don't know. They surmise it because I guess the sun getting bigger at this point.
Is that it's not putting off... Yeah, it's burning off the ozone, and it's probably not putting out the right wavelength or something. I don't know.
Cool one here is 1.6 billion years, so we ain't worried about this. I ain't worried jack shit. But all prokaryotic life will end. The only thing that can survive in this hellish desert world is like single-cell organisms.
Prokaryote is a unicellular organism, right? So that's the end of all life, I would think.
Holy crap.
So 1 point...
All right, so hold on, check this one. 2.3 billion years, the outer core will freeze as the inner core continues to grow. No more magnetic field Good luck, bitches.
So the magnetic field is not essential for life. They found out that there's like a
Okay.
unique way that solar winds interact with an atmosphere without a magnetic field that allows it to have a potential habitability.
Shit.
Couldn't say that word.
Habitability. Yeah. 200 or 2.8 billion years from now, the Earth will be roughly 150 degrees Celsius everywhere. All single cell life, hidden caves, etc., will probably die.
So there's another stat in there that we talked about in the weather and water one, where I think it was like maybe like 110 degrees Fahrenheit for the human body if it's submerged in water. It's like minutes before you die. So like a jacuzzi is limited to like 105 or 104 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like blistering hot to a human.
Not even 100. Right. Celsius is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, a whole nother level. So, like, it's astonishing that like human life can only exist in like an upper bound.
Dude. Yeah, you're right.
It's like 10 degrees different from what our body temperature is. So if we're submerged in water and it's that hot, we're done. The humidity matters and varies and allows you to go hotter, but you know, that's not that much. That's nothing.
I wrote 3.5 billion years. This is all caps, exclamation point, Dan. All water is now gone. All liquid water, sorry. All rocks are molten. Good luck.
That's so
let's move
bizarre.
Really far here, real quick. Those are like billions of years. Like, that's not even a big deal to me. Like, if we can get off the solar system, we can do our thing. I don't know. Anything's possible. We can get wild. We can get freaky. We can get intersexual. Let's say we get a spaceship that can transport our species and move elsewhere, and self-sustaining. We can make our own food, our own water. We have a power supply from any light from the sun. Like, that's cool. Like, guess what? All this shit happened to the Earth. Ain't bothering me, home slice. We're good, right? Right? Essentially.
You don't care? It won't matter?
I mean, it'll bother me, but it won't bother me. Gee, you're asking me.
Yeah.
I'll be dead.
Probably. There's probably going to be future humans that are like, we need to do this right now. We don't know what we're doing, but we need to fix this. Can you leave the planet? You can't. Where are you going to go? I don't even think you could live. You could barely live to the next planet in the universe, in the solar system.
Couldn't you make ships like the Wall-E type scenario where you're on a ship that's self-sustaining?
You're slowly floating in a biodome experience out in the universe cruise ship.
You don't think that would work? And on that ship, people are thinking, doing math, doing engineer stuff, working on new metals. I don't know how many raw materials you have in there, but
I would love to think that would be possible. I just don't know that it actually is.
Let's assume it is. Let's be positive. Let's be optimists here on the Unpanners. So then we get to, they actually estimate that in 110 trillion years, all the star formation will exhaust so that we can't make new stars. I mean, anything can change with these numbers, but that's like current models. 1 quadrillion years, our sun will have shrunk to a dwarf so long ago that now it is radiating 5 Kelvin. So absolute zero is 0 Kelvin. Our sun is still spinning in there, but it's nice 5K, keeping nobody warm. Sucks.
Yeah, so there's
all the planets actually will have left the solar system by now because it's gravitational force.
Yeah, you get to the point where like things are expanding so quickly that you can no longer pay attention to what's around you. You can't even perceive it because it's faster than light, right?
Right. So let's say we're out of the solar system now. We're in this super ship that we made. Technology, we're geniuses. We're half robotic. We're doing our thing. Like, let's just say. That's cool, right? Well, 10 to the 30th years from now, a nonillion, 99% of everything left in the universe will have been absorbed by black holes. They think for the next trillion years after this, we refer to as the black hole period, where black holes exist and not much else.
So this is part of a scientific theory that I would like to, like, I want to be disproven. Like, I feel like black holes cannot exist permanently. Like, it doesn't make sense that you would just have this period of life that began somewhere and ends as black holes, and there's nothing to make it rebirth into a new universe. So there's like another Big Bang or something. But they never talk about that. And if we somehow came from that beginning, is it possible that we re-exist again? I mean, we must, right?
You would be killed by the Great Crunch, though.
Yeah, but you would come back to life in a planet that might not be unlike this one, and you might exist again as a Homo sapien or whatever intelligent life form. So are you really, is intelligent life extinct ever if it can be cyclic? If the universe is cyclic?
I only have 3 left. All nucleons will start decaying. I don't want to get to that. The dark era. All subatomic particles wind down to their final state. Do you know when this starts? It's 1.7 times 10 to the 106 years. I couldn't do the math for you.
Yeah, there's no way you could say that in a normal way to make it logical, because it's not on
so
our
anyway,
time scale.
It sounds like bullcrap. Last stat I wrote down: 10 to the 10th, and to that 10th, 26.
How many Bubs knobs is that?
I don't know, but a friggin' lot. Anything bigger than a Planck length can't exist anymore.
What was the Planck length? I forget what the definition of
10 to the negative. Who the hell? It's the shortest distance we could measure, I guess.
So
light travels in the shortest distance. I don't know.
It's the smallest measurement of length with any meaning. So it has something to do with the size of a proton. So it's the smallest thing we could measure, or we could assume to measure.
So let's just say 2 things. One, if we were floating around on a ship doing our thing, we could survive for a pretty long time. Millions of years, quadrillions of years, trillions of years. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Eventually, we run into a problem where the universe stops existing. You put it nicely, where all this stuff maybe collapses and then explodes. Would you say that?
Yeah,
maybe the gravity, because
spring the universe that you and just expand, come back, expand, come back, and just keep bouncing.
Yeah, I would see that. That's not wild. That's not unbelievable. It's not even against science. But what you just said there makes me think life will, of course, exist. Life will, of course, come into fruition. Is that the case? I have no idea.
I don't think anyone knows. We have equations like the Drake equation that say there's a certain percentage of planets that should exist that hold life. Who knows where we're at on that scale if we're starting to proliferate life in the universe. We can't even measure other life. We've never met other life. I don't know.
It's weird.
Personally, I don't think you matter.
Not at all. Not at all, me personally. But I will just say, so we're assuming life is inevitable. It happens in a universe. I don't know. But why? And are we kind of the same thing that crawled out of the sea and was like a single cell organism and was just recreating its DNA and eventually got lucky and created something else and eventually created us? Maybe, right? What's the point? And I'm not trying to do a what is life question here, but a little bit, what is life? I mean, we're the same thing, right?
Yeah, if we all have DNA and DNA is our building block, are we the same as every other life form? Anything that can move or live and die, should we consider them the same as us? Which I kind of think so.
Even when they went extinct, we're them further on. Yeah. We're them when they kept going and gotten better and better. Sure, evolved. Yeah. So are we the same evolved if we keep going forward? I don't know. Form this space colony, this AI? I don't know. I have no idea. And should that matter?
Existential crisis.
Holy crap. That's a whole nother episode where we talk about what is life. Because right now, I don't friggin' know. And I don't friggin' know. So, to wrap up,
I think we covered it. We didn't talk about global warming though, but I think we did.
No, but I feel like we'll do a whole episode on human global
the oscillation
ruination.
of just like maybe 6 degrees. They say it could cause us to die out.
6 degrees to do it, huh?
Yeah, that's not much.
Hot damn, man! It's crazy that we're still alive, and maybe it will end in a couple generations. I don't know. I hope not.
Well,
we'll
do a little
this
recap.
Is like the darkest episode.
This is the darkest episode. We didn't even talk about the doomsday clock, which is the closest to midnight ever.
Real quick, can you do that? I'm just curious.
Doomsday clock. So there was a measurement of like all the catastrophic elements that could affect human life on the planet. I think at the best time frame was like 1991.
Asteroids, viruses,
nuclear.
Stuff like that. Okay.
All that stuff. Nanotechnology, global warming, environmental resources, AI, war, aliens, asteroids, volcanic, water, food crops, temperature, climate, all that stuff. They judge how close we are to the extinction of the human race by the doomsday clock.
That's wild, because the doomsday theory is that chances of you being alive right now, random, right?
Yep.
This point in human history.
Yep.
So chances are you're probably somewhere in the middle. And humans have been alive for how long? Well, how many humans have died?
100 billion have died already, about.
Roughly. Right, we're not going to hold anyone to
so all the people that died before us, we don't even care. We don't even know.
So chances are, what would make sense is that 100 billion are left to die. If we have equal chances of being alive at any time in life.
Grand assumption there.
It's fairly grand, but what's your chance of being the last person alive?
Almost nothing.
1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%. What's your chance of being the first, which we know we're not? 0.
And will you matter as the last guy to survive? How depressing would the last human on Earth? It'd be super depressing.
So I'll leave you with this. We talked about all sorts of extinctions, all extinction levels, all extinction terms, all... Do you want to touch on any terms?
Eschatology. It's the study of the end times. I love that word. There's always a word I love. I just love
Great extinctions.
Holocene. Anthropocene.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You
literally
took the word out of my mouth.
Toba.
The timeline of the far future. We touched on the human extinction movement. We
Survival.
touched on so many things. Zombie apocalypse, we talked about for like an hour.
Skip.
We talked about how we did this version of the podcast with the antimatters. Shout out.
Shout out antimatters. Thank
Dinosaurs, dinosaur bitch, we talked about.
Yeah, he did.
But I'll leave it with this. If you were the last of your species, there are no females, no other males, you're the last man on Earth. Are you extinct?
Yep. You're fucked.
I can't procreate, right?
You can't.
Weird.
Yep. Last 2 men on Earth. Hope this gets transmitted out to those aliens out there. We're the last 2 guys. Sorry. We're going to have to go into our depot now. We'll see you.
We're going to have to get cozy.
Yeah, get a little frozen.
Cozy as 2 guys. I mean, no one else.
I forgot my clothes, so Nick's got to give me all his warmth.
Got a lot of warmth to give. Well, folks.
Coldest episode ever.
We like you
a lot.
Friggin' lot.
A lot, we do.
Thanks for joining. I hope you don't go extinct by the time this episode airs.
Good night.